Page 3 now, hyper-partisan college professors, even during the summer. These unethical liberal indoctrinators can't keep their mouths shut nor their Twitter accounts silent. Case in point, San Diego State University, some weasel college professor attacking Senator John McCain.
I just kind of shook my head. I was like, wow.
That was Ben's first reaction to a Facebook rant by a professor at SDSU.
Couldn't believe he was a professor, so I had to double check it again, and I just thought that, it was outrageous and outlandish.
Jonathan Graubart is a professor of political science. He posted this status about John McCain, saying he was annoyed by the groundswell of good wishes for him after his diagnosis of brain cancer. He went on to call McCain a war criminal and says he wishes all people with cancer could receive the same support. The post has been read around the world.
I'm actually in Prague right now.
A former student says this behavior doesn't surprise him.
He has told me that he thinks it's his job as an academic to stir controversy. And he normally does that through Facebook.
Other people defended Graubart's freedom of speech, describing him as a man of integrity and intelligence. Ben says that description doesn't match up with the words on his Facebook page.
I would never wish cancer upon my worst enemy. And then to be annoyed by people just wishing you the best for having cancer, I just thought it was totally inappropriate.
And so it is such a cheap shot that it almost deserves to be ignored. However, if we don't highlight this kind of bad behavior, how else are parents going to know? Joining me now from Arlington, Virginia, program coordinator and contributor for Campus Reform, Hannah Scherlacher. Hannah, I don't agree with probably 95%, maybe 95% of what Senator McCain says as the United States Senator. I think he's wrong most of the time. That said, he certainly is not a war criminal. Senator McCain in Vietnam was fighting for liberty, whether you agree or disagree with that war, and whether you're happy or not happy about the outcome, that's not the point. Senator McCain was doing his duty, and he is anything but a war criminal. And these college professors who believe that it's part of their duty to pontificate and shape the thinking, not just teach, but shape the thinking of these young people, it's truly scary.
Absolutely. If it weren't for heroes like John McCain, then these professors wouldn't even have the right to make these inflammatory remarks in the classroom. These sentiments are ugly in their purest form. And, that's no way to talk about someone, especially who has just been diagnosed with brain cancer, all political beliefs aside. This is just another leftist attempt at stalling Republican efforts to reform healthcare. And unfortunately, they're using this unfortunate situation of Senator John McCain to their advantage to push their leftist agenda for healthcare. And it's deeply concerning. And
it's important. Your job is important. Our job is important to call them out on it and to name them by name. There's another professor at Rutgers University. I believe his last name is Allred. I think it's Kevin Allred, who tweeted this: John McCain is pretty okay with taking away everyone's health care, so excuse me if I don't have a well of sympathy for his brain cancer. Okay, fine. You know what? If you don't like John McCain, fine. Why don't you just keep your mouth shut? But the unfortunate part is that he's teaching college kids a lesson here, a lesson in inhumanity, and this is something that parents need to be aware of.
Absolutely. And this is something we see time and time again at Leadership Institute's Campus Reform. This is not the first time a professor has made these type of absurd remarks. We just reported a few weeks ago on Professor Johnny Williams, who referred to the congressional shooting at the congressional baseball game, saying, reposted something suggesting that we should have let him die. So it's something we see time and time again. No one is holding these professors accountable, and it really makes you question, why are these taxpayer dollars funding these schools, funding these administrators and faculty who make these inflammatory remarks and turn the classroom into a bully pulpit to push their agendas?
I have to smile here because John McCain has the last laugh. He did make it back to Washington, D.C. and cast a crucial vote today for the health care debate to proceed. So senators can continue to debate. Whether we agree or disagree with John McCain or agree or disagree with the health care debate, at least he came into town and proved all these professors to be fools, which is what they are. Now, Evergreen University, and not a lot of people know about Evergreen University. It's been in the headlines a lot lately. And most recently, you all have been reporting about this anti-Second Amendment sentiment on campus.
Right. So what happened here is a student, Steve Kaufman, was denied his right to carry on campus. So generally, this rule, you're not allowed to carry on campus unless you have permission. But what happened is they blocked this student's right to even apply to carry on campus. And even more outrageous, this university is preventing him from meeting outside of the university with an advisor. So they're limiting the Second Amendment on and off campus. So we shouldn't abandon the Constitution just because we step foot on a college campus. And this 120-day ban they're putting on, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. That's just another attempt to stomp out the Second Amendment and push this anti-gun agenda. You know, now more than ever, we're seeing a need for more security, self-security on campuses because administration has proved that they're not willing to defend. We see that at Evergreen, we see it at Berkeley, we see it across the nation. And, you know, we see at University of Central Florida, the leftists has their own fight club where they teach violence. They teach students how to fight fascism. So this is just absurd. You know, the Second Amendment should not be stomped out just because we step foot on campus. Now more than ever, students need to be able to protect themselves against this violent rioting that administration is letting them get away with.
How about teaching students about the Bill of Rights, which also happens to include the Second Amendment and why the Second Amendment was put in there in the first place? Maybe throw in teaching about the First Amendment and possibly the Fifth Amendment and possibly the Ninth and the 10th Amendment, too. That would be very, very nice instead of having these professors degraded. Now, I'm almost out of time. I want to bring up Princeton real quick. Princeton University apparently has an ad for some sort of anger management person. This is a person they're calling a men's engagement manager to combat aggressive masculinity on campus. The ad reads for itself, interpersonal violence clinician and men's engagement manager dedicated to survivors of sexual harassment, assault, dating violence, and stalking. But in reality, what they're trying to do is emasculate men on campus, are they not?
Oh, they absolutely are. I find the irony of this story laughable. The same movement that focuses on women's empowerment is categorizing women as victims and men as the perpetrators. So this is just absurd. You know, this is also this idea that masculinity doesn't exist and it's just socially constructed is something we see at campuses across the country. The University of Wisconsin students made a video called Deconstructing Masculinity. So it's a concept we see, you know, all over the country. And as a woman, I'm offended by this. I think this is ridiculous. This is not where taxpayer money should be going. We should be encouraging, we should be highlighting the differences between genders, not using them to divide and tear us apart because, you know, of all things, we know that division is not something we need more of on college campuses.
Well, as a man, I'm offended by it. And when you step back and you look at the big picture of what we're talking about here, the attacks on John McCain fighting in Vietnam, the attacks on the Second Amendment, a.k.a. the Bill of Rights, and the attacks on masculinity, what they are doing, if you add it all up and you look at what's happening on college campuses, is they are attacking the very foundation, the very roots of this country. And we need you, Hannah. We need you at Campus Reform, and we'll be here too. We have your back. Thank you.